At the start of this clip, we see two cars pulling over on the side of the freeway, one belonging to the cameraman and the other to his friend, who was pulled over by state troopers for speeding. When the officer notices that the cameraman is with the guy who was pulled over, he asks him to pull over in front of him as well, but since the cameraman realized this was just retaliation, he decided to just pull over behind the cop car at that moment. Let's see what happens next.
Okay.
So,
driver's license and registration, please.
You're lying. But you're pulling him over, right?
You and him both.
You just told me you were pulling him over, so.
Yeah, well, he was going 87, you were going 85.
No, I got my cruise on.
I tell you to.
I got my cruise on.
Your driver's license and your registration and insurance.
The cop asked the car driver to provide his driver's license and registration papers, to which the driver replied that the cop must be fooling around as the cop pulled over the driver's friend's car. The officer replied that he has pulled over both cars. The cop decides to cite both drivers for speeding, even though the cameraman claims to have his cruise control on.
Well, you got to give me a minute for the registration, but here's my license. And you realize that, how can you see my speed when he's right in front of me?
You're following him. So Here's what I did. I hit my front radar on him. He was going 87. As soon as he passed, it went to 85 on you. I never stopped the radar. That's the way it is.
Do you have a printout of that?
The man hands over his license to the officer, unaware that the officer can see his speed. The officer then explains, he's right in front of me and you're following him, so here's what I did. I hit my radar on him and he was going 87, but as soon as he passed, it went to 85 on you.
Now, when I make a traffic stop, if you don't do as I say by pointing to the front of him,
as you
by
say,
being behind
is that
me,
lawful?
I'm trying to make
sure
I have...
lawful order?
Yeah, it is, because it's officer safety. You're obstructing my traffic stop.
Officer safety is not a law.
So, I want you to pull the front of him so that you're not behind me.
Quote me the code for that.
So that I can make sure that I...
Can you quote me the law for that?
The officer then declares that we'll conduct a traffic stop. If you don't do as I say and I pull in front of him, I'm doing everything I can to ensure officer safety. You're in my way, so I'd like you to pull the problem behind me just to be sure.
The code?
I'm not going to pull you the law for that.
Then there is no law for that.
It is a lawful order.
There's got to be a code for it. There has to be a code for it. For officer safety, there is no code.
I don't care.
Just like there's no code for public safety.
Why is it that you won't do what I tell you to?
I'm with him, okay? It's not safe for me to just pull up ahead.
The man knows that the cop is lying and building up the laws that are not real. So he asks the cop to quote the law for whatever he says.
I don't exactly go to the front of people's vehicles because if you had a gun or something like that, you could always...
What are you so scared of?
What do you mean, what am I scared of? That's the way we maintain our officer safety.
You think everybody's out to get you?
That is the way we maintain our officer safety. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're coming from.
Your officer safety issue is ridiculous. You realize that?
The cops then explain why he is terrified. He responds, you could always have a gun or something like that. I'm afraid that's the way we make do you think? Everyone's trying to get you. That's how we made it. What do you think? Here the man responds, I don't know who you are and the safety issue is ridiculous. You realize you have one of the least dangerous professions in the world and I don't have to cooperate since you didn't pull me over. You pulled him over.
There's just insurance.
Stand by.
The man gives the insurance and registration to the cop, but what happens next is going to shock you. They just leave. The man then decides to follow them. The cop appears to refuse to disclose his service ID or information about a supervisor, instead merely handing the driver a ticket and telling him everything's on there. We have a suspicion the cop wants to get rid of this individual as soon as possible.
I give that all to you on a card.
No, you can verbalize it.
I'm going to give it to you.
It's the law. You're supposed to verbalize it.
I'm going to give it.
Can you verbally identify yourself?
All I have to do is provide it to you. That's
verbally.
all I have to do.
Verbally.
I'm going to explain your citation to you.
Someone that has vision problems.
Your violation.
Is
you
the
have
reason
vision problems?
When the man asks for the police badge number, the officer refuses and says, I'll give it to you. However, when the man begs him to verbalize it, the cop continues to refuse. After the continuous refusal of information, the cop gives the violation for speed to the man and leaves.
Your violation is for speed.
Oh,
you're going 85 and a 70. I'm going to give you a violation citation for 80 and a 70.
What's your name and badge number?
Right down here.
What's your name and badge number? Are you going to fail to identify?
And now our next interaction between the cops and a citizen. The video begins with a man standing on the road leading to Iowa State Prison. Despite the fact that the road is publicly accessible, the cops say that it is private property.
And your instructions on how to pay out a contest, whichever you choose. My
Who's
information is down
your
here.
supervising officer?
Huh?
Who's your
My
supervisor?
information is down here. I'm providing that information to you.
Who's your
There's
supervisor?
information. Have a safe day.
The cop approaches the man and tells him, "We're not going to be concerned about you standing out here filming if you go back and approach that prison. If we get a call about that, we'll come up here and arrest you." That leads to you being warned by an employee to keep off the prison location.
So we rode our bikes back this way because there's no signs right here saying that it's, private property or not publicly accessible. What's up, Skywalker? And so we rode back over in here, and Dum Dum decides to tell me that we're on private property. I understand it's penitentiary property, but this is a public accessible road to their visitors' parking lot. So,
The cameraman shows the location and mentions that we rode our bikes back this way because there were no signs indicating that this is private land or public property that is not accessible to the public. So we came back in here and he informed me that we were on private property. I understand it's a necessary property, however, this is a public road leading to the visitor's parking lot. Florida just backed up here, claiming that this was a private road, and you claim that there was a sign up here, but the only sign is the K9 on premises. That's all.
yeah, I know, and it's over. If this road, he says it's private, but there's no sign saying it's not. So, and there's the parking lot's right there, right? That's where you go in to visit somebody, right? So this is open road, right? Right, and then he's trying to tell me it's private, but I know it's not. You know it's not, because the public, how do I go and visit somebody if I want to visit somebody, right? Well, the parking lot. Right, so that's where, I would go to the door, though, to find out, on information on how to visit somebody, right? Yeah, Right. See, and I say it on. You're good as long as you're on the road. Right. Roadway, oh, see, no. See, that's where I'm going to contest, because there's no sign saying I can't go down this road. He said there's no access, no public access, only whatever personnel.
Next, an officer arrives and the cameraman asks the officer about the property. The cameraman explains it's private, yet there's no sign stating otherwise. So the parking lot's right there, and that's where you're going to see someone, right? So if this is an open road, how do I go visit someone if I wish to see someone? So that's where I would go to the door to find out information on how to visit someone, right? The cop tries all they can to persuade the man to leave, but the cameraman continuously informs the officer he is perfectly legal to be on the road. The cops then tell him it's fine to film and be in the area, but they still ask for his ID. But what happens next is going to shock you and make you laugh. This is when the guy simply hands him a piece of paper with their ID scribbled on it, knowing full well he's not legally compelled to identify himself.
They just want you to stay on the shoulder of the road. There you go. Your name, date of birth.
Yeah, I got my name. Hold on. YOURFIRSTNAME. Your first name.
Next, the man gives the same type of paper written on it with the name. This is surely a lesson for the cops using the law inefficiently. The man's now done with his tricks and asks the cops if anyone's informed about you guys coming over here, because this is definitely public property and there's no sign over here. Here, something strange happens when the cops go from ordering to requesting. So what happened just now, and what did the man show them? Just take a look. The man then leaves after displaying his weapon, which is the law document outlining what rights the police would be violating if the man was not allowed to remain there. Ahmed Al-Manhali, a United Arab Emirates citizen, traveled to Avon, Ohio in June 2016 for medical treatment at the Cleveland Clinic. Upon arrival at the Fairland Inn and Suites, he was informed that the hotel was fully booked due to the Republican National Convention. Ahmed politely requested alternative accommodation options. While waiting in the lobby, a SWAT-style response occurred, with Avon officers arriving and detaining Ahmed, who was simply walking out of the hotel while on his phone.
On the ground! No! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Down! On the ground! Do it now! Get on your car. Down!
Confused by the situation, Ahmed questioned the officers, but they handcuffed and searched him, damaging his phone in the process. They found a second phone, which Ahmed used for business purposes.
What? Take the phone away! Cover the entrance, help me get back.
What is it?
Go.
What happened?
Despite no evidence of wrongdoing, the officers treated Ahmed as a terrorist, disregarding any investigation or backstory. Simultaneously, an officer spoke to the hotel receptionist who had made a 911 call, falsely claiming Ahmed had pledged allegiance to ISIS. The officer soon realized it was a false alarm and called off the search. Meanwhile, Ahmed collapsed and passed out, prompting paramedics to administer aid and to take him to a nearby hospital. The incident gained international attention, leading to the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Foreign Affairs to demand an apology from Avon officials. The mayor and police chief apologized to Ahmed, emphasizing that the incident did not reflect their community's values. Marriott International, the hotel's owner, expressed regret and committed to training to prevent similar occurrences.
You should not have been put in that situation like you were.
There were some false accusations made against you, and those are regrettable.
Mayor
Jensen said in a statement, "This was a very unfortunate incident and does not reflect our community. Avon is proud to welcome visitors from the United Arab Emirates and other countries who regularly come to Northern Ohio for tourism, business, medical care, or education."
The settlement aimed to compensate Ahmed for physical, psychological, and financial damages. However, he still faced lasting emotional distress, was haunted by the officer's eyes, and experienced sleep disturbances. The incident highlighted the need for improved cultural understanding and sensitivity among law enforcement personnel. Here we have Brian Filipiak, a 47-year-old Washtenaw County Sheriff's Lieutenant, who was off duty when he got pulled over. Deputy Morrison, after stopping Lieutenant Filipiak, informed him about the reason for the traffic stop. Subsequently, Deputy Morrison inquired if Lieutenant Filipiak had consumed any alcoholic beverages that afternoon. In response, Lieutenant Filipiak acknowledged that he had indeed consumed a couple drinks. After Deputy Morrison confirmed Lieutenant Filipiak's identity, he returned to his vehicle and instructed the lieutenant to exit the truck for a field sobriety test. The purpose of the test was to assess whether Lieutenant Filipiak had consumed an excessive amount of alcohol, despite it being evident he was clearly unfit to drive. Exhibiting evident signs of severe intoxication, such as slurred speech and watery eyes, Lieutenant Filipiak left no room for doubt that he was heavily under the influence.
Okay, you got your ID?
However, despite this clear indication, Lieutenant Filipiak adamantly refused to comply with Deputy Morrison's request to step out of the vehicle. Instead, he insisted that Deputy Morrison should either allow him to return home or let him sleep it off on the side of the road. In response, Deputy Morrison firmly informed Lieutenant Filipiak that his options were limited and made it clear that he would not allow him to be released in his current condition.
Multiple reckless driving calls about you. Okay. And then when I'm following you, you're hitting the shoulder of the road. You been drinking? How many?
Just a couple.
Okay. Where are you reaching in the back for? I seen you reaching in the back. You have an open container back there? Okay, you been drinking on the way here? Got your registration, proof of insurance? Do you have a firearm on you? Okay. Do you got your pistol? Are you a corrections officer or just deputy? Lieutenant? Okay.
Despite Deputy Morrison's persistent attempts to persuade Lieutenant Filipiak to exit the vehicle, the latter remained adamant in his repeated request to be released. He proceeded to assert that Deputy Morrison's job would not be jeopardized if he let the situation slide, emphasizing the potential consequences for himself if the matter were pursued.
Brian, I'm going to have you step out of the car. I'm going to do a field sobriety test for you. Okay?
However, Deputy Morrison understood that ignoring the incident would not only lead to his termination, but also result in misdemeanor charges carrying a penalty of up to 1 year of imprisonment or a fine of $1,000. Deputy Morrison was fully aware of the extent of Lieutenant Filipiak's intoxication, as he had allegedly observed the lieutenant discarding open containers in the back seat during the traffic stop.
I'm going to ask you to step out of the vehicle. What would you like me to do?
Just let me.
I can't. I had multiple phone calls. You'd be in the same situation if I was in the vehicle in your county, correct?
All right, just let me stay here.
You can't. I'm going to ask you nicely to step out of this vehicle. Brian, my hands are tied. If I let you go, I'm going to lose my career over you. You don't think I wouldn't?
No.
This is Northern Michigan. We're a small department. Okay, I'm going to ask you nicely to step out of the vehicle. You know I have my job to do. You know that.
Yeah, and I just want you.
And I understand your point, your position. Okay, I'm trying to be as cooperative and nice to you as I can.
Despite Deputy Morrison's continuous efforts in trying to have Lieutenant Filipiak step out of the vehicle,
after nearly 5 minutes of persistent requests for Lieutenant Filipiak to exit the vehicle,
Just let me go.
I'm not. I can't let you go. We're way past that point. You know this.
No,
You're a lieutenant. You know how this works.
yeah, I do.
You would tell one of your deputies if they called you right on the side of the road
No,
and they
I'll
asked
let
you what to
know
do.
if I could go.
So, if one of your deputies is in the position as I am right now, calling you as a lieutenant, Lieutenant, this is what I got. What should I do? You're just going to say, let him go?
This point,
Why?
just
Just because. You're intoxicated. I know it. You've opened alcohol in the vehicle that you passed back. I know it. You know it. You're a good guy. Ryan, out of this vehicle. I'm asking you nicely. I don't want to see anything worse happen. Okay?
no.
Deputy Morrison, having reached the limits of his patience, opened the door and firmly instructed the lieutenant to step out, avoiding any need for further escalation. Deputy Morrison proceeded to inform Lieutenant Filipiak that he would be arrested for refusal to comply if he persisted in refusing to exit the vehicle. RNO, an abbreviation for resisting and obstructing a police officer, is a felony offense that carries a penalty of up to 2 years of imprisonment, a fine of $2,000, or both. After an additional 5 minutes had passed, Deputy Morrison cautioned Lieutenant Filipiak that he would be tased if he continued to resist compliance with his instructions. Consequently, Deputy Morrison retrieved his taser and aimed it at the lieutenant, while firmly warning him that failure to comply would result in being tased. Deputy Morrison even considered using the backup taser at that moment. In this situation, Deputy Morrison possessed the authority to employ his taser and would not have faced repercussions for doing so. Fortunately, the threat of being tased successfully persuaded Lieutenant Filipiak to finally exit the vehicle. As anticipated, Deputy Morrison did not tolerate Lieutenant Filipiak's resistance, instructed Lieutenant Filipiak to occupy the back seat of his patrol car, intending to transport him to the police station. Despite Deputy Morrison's clear directive to sit in the car, Lieutenant Filipiak persisted in his refusal, stating, "I am who you guys are. Do you guys realize that?" This remark strongly indicated that Lieutenant Filipiak was attempting to exploit his position of authority, seeking a preferential treatment based on his status.
Ryan, we're done with this.
Hold on.
Talk to me. Yes or no? Are you doing field sobriety tests?
All right. So if this was the other situation,
Lieutenant Filipiak clearly held the belief that he was exempt from abiding by the law. However, the officers present at the scene were determined to make it evident that such was not the case. Following some further struggle, they managed to successfully place Lieutenant Filipiak inside the patrol car.
I'm not resisting, but let's stop.
You're
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay.
We've talked. I don't want to put you on the ground.
No,
I don't want to
want
make
you
this worse.
All right, I will just sleep it off.
You're,
Dude,
stop it right now. You know, stop it.
Allowing for his transportation to the police station where he would face the consequences of his actions. Subsequent breath tests conducted at the police station revealed that Filipiak's blood alcohol level registered at 0.28 and 0.27%. For context, the legal limit for operating a motor vehicle in the United States is a mere 0.08%.
What happens? We're going to take you to the jail and ask for a data master. And if you refuse that, we're going to get a search warrant for your blood. Brian, have a seat.
stop, guys. Hold on.
Therefore, Lieutenant Filipiak's blood alcohol concentration was over 3 times the legal limit, subjecting him to Michigan State's super drunk law, which carries penalties of up to 180 days in jail, fines of up to $700, and up to 360 hours of community service. So it's time to watch our next case. On July 26, 2021, the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety received a distress call from a female resident of Colton Village Townhomes in Orangeburg, South Carolina. The caller reported that a man was vigorously banging on her door and window, attempting to gain entry. Furthermore, she alleged that the man possessed a firearm tucked into the waistband of his jean shorts. In response, dispatch promptly directed all officers in the vicinity to respond without delay. Officer David Lance Dukes arrived as the first responder at the scene. With his firearm drawn, Officer Dukes exited his patrol car and proceeded to instruct a 58-year-old disabled man, along with his cousin DeMario Julian, to immediately lie on the ground. At this juncture, it was evident from the body camera footage that Mr. Gillard was complying with Officer Dukes' commands. The recording captured Mr. Gillard raising his hands in the air and proceeding to lower himself onto his hands and knees as directed by the officer. However, before Mr. Gillard could fully assume the prone position on the ground, Officer Dukes unexpectedly and forcefully stomped on Mr. Gillard's neck. The impact caused Mr. Gillard's head to forcefully strike the pavement, resulting in a bruised forehead. Subsequent investigations revealed that Mr. Gillard's delay in complying was due to the presence of metal rods and pins in his leg and hip as a result of a previous injury. Following the aggressive act, Officer Dukes promptly restrained Mr. Gillard by placing him in handcuffs. Immediately afterward, Officer Dukes informed a second officer at the scene that there should be a gun behind Mr. Gillard, suggesting that Mr. Gillard had allegedly left a firearm behind the white SUV where he had been positioned prior to the confrontation.
There's a gun behind me. There's a gun, I believe, behind me.
I ain't got no gun there.
Mr. Gillard assured Officer Dukes that there was no gun present, and upon a quick examination, the second officer confirmed the absence of any firearm. Officer Dukes proceeded to conduct a search of Mr. Gillard's person, accusing him of failing to comply with orders. However, as evident in the earlier body camera footage, Mr. Gillard had been complying with Officer Dukes' commands from the beginning. Not once did Mr. Gillard exhibit any behavior that could be perceived as a threat, thereby negating Officer Dukes' justification for excusing excessive force against him. Once Officer Dukes ensured that Mr. Gillard did not possess a firearm, he decided to search the vicinity of the SUV himself in hopes of locating the alleged weapon. It swiftly became apparent that there was no gun to be found. Instead, it was discovered that Mr. Gillard had been carrying a stick wrapped in shiny silver tape, which he typically used as protection against aggressive stray dogs. Officer Dukes and the second officer helped Mr. Gillard back up onto his feet, at which point he began expressing his dissatisfaction regarding the unnecessary impact of his head on the concrete. The visible injury to Mr. Gillard's forehead, marked by a bruise and swelling, further supported his claim. In response to Mr. Gillard's confrontation regarding the incident, Officer Dukes provided a reply. At this point, it became apparent that Mr. Gillard was in need of medical attention. However, neither of the officers present on the scene initially took this into consideration. Fortunately, Officer Queenie Polidor arrived and promptly recognized the necessity for emergency medical services, requesting EMS assistance. As Mr. Gillard continued to express his grievances regarding the incident, Officer Dukes approached Officer Polidor and another responding officer to inform them about the situation. However, Officer Dukes' account was far from truthful. He claimed that when Mr. Gillard walked in front of the SUV, he believed Mr. Gillard was carrying a gun and repeatedly instructed him to drop it. Officer Dukes made further allegations claiming Mr. Gillard had his hands in his pockets and repeatedly ignored requests to show his hands. However, the body camera footage once again contradicted Officer Dukes' statements.
He was in front of the car when I came up, and he was walking like this. And I thought it was a gun at first. I said, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. I had him at gunpoint.
Clearly showing Mr. Gillard complying with the orders by keeping his hands raised above his head. Officer Dukes mentioned to a fellow officer that he wanted to take the stick as evidence, stating that it was the reason for his actions. In response, the fellow officer promptly questioned the necessity of using the stick as evidence, pointing out that the body camera footage would suffice. EMS arrived at the scene to attend to Mr. Gillard's condition. While Mr. Gillard was being examined, Mr. Julian approached Officer Dukes and requested a card with his details on it. In response, Officer Dukes promptly informed Mr. Julian that he did not possess a card and clarified that the department did not issue such cards in any case. Officer Polidor quickly recognized Officer Dukes' misstatement and promptly corrected him. She asserted that they indeed possessed cards and proceeded to provide Mr. Julian with her own cards as requested. On July 31, 2022, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division announced that Officer Dukes was taken into custody and charged with first-degree assault and battery. Several months later, in November 2021, Mr. Gillard received a compensation settlement of $650,000 from Orangeburg, South Carolina. City officials additionally expressed their commitment to establishing a citizens task force to provide oversight and guidance regarding interactions between residents and the Orangeburg police.